My name is Ving, I play on the Kodash server EU, and my main class is Mesmer. In the following clips I'm gonna show you some of my outnumbered fights. I hope you enjoy watching. In this clip I attack the back of a big Zerg, but suddenly I see something in the left corner of my screen, so I dodge backwards to avoid the surprise hammer stun of the warrior. I try to keep my distance to give him a hard time applying his crowd control onto me. I use my sword 2 into mind drag to keep the pressure high. He manages to immobilize me, but I blink out of it, use my berserker and throw my mirror blade into mind drag to burst him down. I get the successful stomp and retreat from this fight. In the next clip I am attacking a small group. I dodge the elementalist right of the lightning right away, open with my berserker mirror blade, sword 3 to sword 2 into mind drag to get the elementalist down. With the help of my torch invis, I get the successful stomp and retreat from this fight. In the next clip I'm fighting at the tower cap point while the enemies are shooting a cannon at me. I want to stomp the elementalist, but suddenly a thief jumps down and his blinding powder on falling damage triggers. So I pressure their position, but the thief stealths the elementalist again and gets him up. I use my duelist into Scepter 2 block to apply torment stacks on the elementalist. He gets down. I try to go for the stomp, however the thief uses his refuge to interrupt the stomp animation. There is still a ranger on the upper platform, so I have to be constantly moving around to avoid most of his brutal damage. I get the elementalist down. He uses his mist form. I wait a little bit to walk through my veil a second time. Now I can go and get the successful stomp. At this point I wanted to pull a little bit out, but the ranger's shot pushed me over the edge. I use my massive visibility and heal up because I'm really low and I don't want to be killed by the falling damage. However, I'm not done yet, so I put my game face on and climb the stairs of the mighty tower again. My goal is to get on the same level as the ranger. I switch to my focus, use my temporary curtain into the void to pull the ranger down. I jump down and open with my Scepter 3. The thief manages to immobilize me, so I Scepter 2 block, decoy, duelist into sword 3 to sword 2 to pin him down and apply heavy damage onto him. The thief drops. I go for the stomp and in case that he ports, I have my blink up to follow him. I try to keep the pressure high, so I stun the ranger into sword 3 to sword 2. I use my duelist and block his leap with my Scepter 2 to apply torment stacks onto him. I put a lot of conditions on him, so he is about to drop. I use my decoy to get the successful stomp and run off to find my next fight. The next clip starts with me scouting for an easy burst target, like the up-leveled elementalist for example. I open with my berserker, throw my mirror blade, weapon swap sword 3 to sword 2 into mind drag to burst him really low. He drops after one auto hit and uses his mist form. I follow up with my veil and get the successful stomp. I keep fighting the rest of them, but in the end I have to retreat from this fight. In this clip I got into a fight south of West Tower, but I felt a lot of pressure from them, so I used my veil to reset a little bit. But suddenly I see a lot of enemies coming from the right side of my screen, so I try to hide in the corners of the wall. However, I get discovered, so I use my decoy to pull a little bit away from the big Zerg. At this point I use my sword combo to pin the guardian down. But as soon as the ranger appears, I switch my targets because he would be the squishier one to focus for me. The guardian ports to me, so I instantly dodge to avoid most of his damage. He manages to pull me in, however this really helps me to apply my burning damage onto the ranger, which gets him down. I use my distortion to prevent his interrupt, blink out, use my mass invisibility to retreat from this fight. In the next clip I'm attacking a necromancer and a guardian. I get blinded right away. I use one auto hit to get rid of the condition, so I can summon my berserker. She does a really good job dodging though. Now I weapon swap, sword 3 to sword 2 into mind drag to apply heavy burst onto her. At this point I got really low, so I have to pull a little bit out. I open again with a berserker, mind step, dodge away, use my veil to confuse them about my positioning, throw my mirror blade, sword 3 to sword 2 into mind drag to get the necromancer down. I get the successful stomp with the help of my torch invis. I try to kite the guardian around to avoid most of his damage. I dodge through him and mind drag at the same time because I really like this move. I use my greatsword 5 to interrupt his mighty blow. Sadly our fight got interrupted. If you're watching, I'm really sorry about that. The next clip starts with me dodging the berserker of a mesmer. I use my decoy to gain stealth. She manages to immobilize me. I gamble on the fact that she doesn't know that I'm still there. I place my swap clone, wait for sword 2 to end, swap into sword 2 mind drag to blow her up, then I use my diversion to interrupt her healing that gets her down in the end. Afterwards I get the successful stomp and run off to find my next fight. In this clip I got attacked by a small group. I choose the thief as my target because he would be the squishiest. I use my scepter 2 block to apply torment stacks onto them, sword 3 to sword 2 to pin the thief down. In fights like this I'm constantly moving around to distract the enemy and to avoid most of its damage. I try to go for the stomp, but the thief ports away. I follow with my blink to get the successful finish, and afterwards I retreat from this fight. In the next clip I'm fighting a thief and a necromancer. I use my mind drag to pressure him in his refuge. I switch my focus to the necromancer because the thief is still in stealth. But in the moment he turns up, I target him again because he would be the bigger threat. He tries to retreat. I follow with a mass invisibility. I start the berserker animation out of range, blink in range to successfully summon it. I really love to do this move. I throw my mirror blade, weapon swap sword 3 to sword 2 and smash all my shatter buttons to burst him down. I try to finish him off, but I got a bad timing, so he can constantly interrupt my stomp animation. That's why I dodge and use my mind drag to kill him the old fashioned way. Afterwards starts a long fight between the necromancer and me, so I'm just going to show some parts of it. In the moment he stands in all of my clones, I use my mind drag to apply heavy burst onto him. He uses his elite form. I use my mind step to remove the stability from him. My greatsword 5 to knock him back. At this point I use my sword 3 to sword 2 to mind drag to burst him down. Now I see other enemies approaching from behind, so I use my distortion into mass invisibility to retreat from this fight. The next clip starts with me using the blink in summoning berserker move into sword 3 mind drag to burst the thief real low. However, he manages to escape for now. I use my sword 2 into decoy to prevent his opening. He puts his refuge down. I use my greatsword 5 to knock him out of it. My sword 2 to prevent his damage into mind drag to burst him down. I try to finish him. In case he ports, I have my blink up and I get the successful stomp and retreat from this fight. In the next clip I got into a fight at North Camp. I felt a lot of pressure from them, so I used my mass invisibility to reset a little bit. I open again with my scepter 3, use my scepter 2 block. She does a really good job interrupting the animation, which saves her from the torment stacks. Nevertheless, she drops and I get the successful finish. I keep fighting the rest, but in the end I have to retreat from this fight. The next clip starts with me blocking the shield stun of a warrior. I open again with my scepter 3, dodge the warrior's eviscerate, scepter 2 to apply torment stacks onto them. I use my torch invis to reposition myself. I stun the warrior, sword 3 to sword 2 to pin him down and prevent his hammer stun. At this point I switch my focus to the guardian because the warrior would just kite me around. I trigger my scepter 2 block on the symbol on the ground to apply torment stacks on the guardian. I use my duelist into sword 3 to sword 2 to burst the guardian down. While stomping, I use my distortion to prevent the interrupt of the guardian and the warrior's hammer stun. Afterwards I open again with my scepter 3, the warrior starts his backbreaker animation and in the moment it ends I blink away to prevent anything from it. After some time the fight got interrupted and I ran off to find my next fight. The last clip is about me messing up. I just wanted to show you that I'm also making mistakes like everybody else. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. My builds are in the description down below. I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, like or leave a comment. Bye!